doing some mock-in. Actually, this is fun stuff here. So I picked up this steering wheel, this Thunderbird steering wheel. Well, I should say my second. I got this steering wheel at a junkyard in Toledo. This is my favorite steering wheel of all time. I used to be a Thunderbird addict, and it's got the cruise built in, but this one was missing a horn button, and online it said they had the horn button, and I got there to buy the steering wheel and there was no horn button. And then they said, well, let us check again. They went back there for 30 seconds and came back, nope, no horn button. So last week when I was in Akron, I stopped at another junkyard and got this, and this has the whole column too. But I want to use the brights here and get rid of the foot switch down there. And of course hook up the cruise and the horn. So I just have it kind of mounted in here roughly. But right now I'm just kind of, like I said, doing some mocks. I was gonna put the gear selector right here on the doghouse, cut a hole in this doghouse, and then make it to where I could pull the doghouse out and the shifter would stay there. But I like this a lot better right here. Check this out. So I'm gonna build a plate right here, and then the stereo is gonna be in here, and probably like a power, accessory power here for the passenger. I'm gonna run the cable down here into the engine compartment and down to the transmission. I cut this plate down smaller, like that. Maybe even move it over like this. I believe the heat controls all still work. Yeah, it doesn't interfere with any of that. The shift linkage wouldn't interfere. It's long enough. Oh, that was my elbow and that wasn't funny. Oh, come on, man. Come on. Okay. All right, where were we? Dang it. Nothing started early tonight. You know we won't quit till we get it right. We've been jamming almost every day. We keep jamming 'cause there's no other way. We keep jamming. We keep jamming. All right, I got the cable mounted. I built a bracket. Put a little light on there. Let's put carriage bolts. So those two bolts right there are those two. Made a little L bracket. Got the cable fastened. It's as strong as what the firewall is. So I'm gonna put everything back together before I shift gears and go underneath the van and start working on the linkage down there. Need the shifter. Oh man, I still gotta. Actually, I'm gonna try bending this before I do everything down there. I'm not gonna get done with this before it's time to make dinner, which stinks. I really wanted to get this done before next weekend so I could start with something else. There's no way. I'll probably be at it another 4 hours before I get it completely done. Fastened to the transmission and everything. I got a bushing to replace this one. This is all seized up in here. And that's supposed to turn inside that bushing pivot. So I do got to get that working right. I'm really happy with the way this turned out, to be honest. I don't mean to brag, I don't mean to boast. This project is almost toast. so strong. Strong like tool. That nut that goes on the linkage. Attach the cable. Just drive one. Second, drive. Overdrive. Neutral. Reverse. Reverse. Park. Yep. That is perfect. We're underneath now. This is the shift cable coming from the dash. Kind of close quarters here. This is the kickdown cable. Now normally, in the factory, like in the Mustang that this was in, everything sits more forward. So the engine, transmission, so when you're sitting in the driver's seat of a Mustang, you're actually behind the bell housing. Whereas in the van, the bell housing is behind the driver. This shift rod right here would come from the back like this. Or, well, maybe it was like this. Yeah, it was like this. And then this portion, that's where the shifter would have come through the floor and connected to this here. So actually, that is right at your waist. You know, when you're sitting in a Mustang and that shifter is right beside you, this is where you would be sitting. Basically, even with the tail shaft, your hip would be just above the tail shaft. Obviously, that's not going to work, so that's why I went with the cable instead. I didn't get the kickdown cable when I bought the engine, so I had to get this at the junkyard. But this bracket here for the kickdown cable was on the transmission when I bought it. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to open this up a little bit, open up this fork a little bit here, so it'll accept this cable in here like this. I'm going to flip this upside down. I'm going to cut the bottom off. And I'm going to mount this just like that. And see this piece right here will keep this, it'll butt up against this ridge right here on the other bracket, and that'll hold that still and keep that from being able to move. I'm hoping that I don't get into this area right here on the transmission. I haven't actually fitted it yet, but I'm worried that this is gonna hit this right here. I might have to put like a spacer in there or something. And then as far as, because this isn't quite long enough, this cable here, if you picture this being mounted right here like this, it's long enough to mount right there, but it's not long enough to get back to the linkage here. Right now it's in park. That's drive one right there. And you see what I'm contending with here, these adjusters. I think those adjust the bands on the clutches, if I remember right. And I've got that sitting right there, right next to that. So I'm going to cut this shift rod here. And I believe that I can get this in the back side just like this, in that bushing, as long as it's in park, because I got room right here to do that. And then it goes around that shaft right there, that bolt right there, and that nut. So I'm gonna cut this somewhere around here. I'm gonna drill the center of it out and I'm gonna tap it so I can thread it on to the end of this cable right here and then use this nut as a jam nut. So I'll be able to get that much thread. Looks like basically an inch. I'll be able to get a full inch worth of thread into this. I think that'll work. See, I think I might want to grind a little off of that anyways so I can turn it and get this, instead of this kind of angled, I want this to sit straight up and down rather than angled down like that, I believe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want it like that. I want it like this. So it looks like in order to clock that, I'll just remove that end right there, just a little bit of that flange on there, and cut it right there, right below the bolt. Looks like I'm gonna need to be closer to the transmission too. I'm gonna have to be closer in here, more like this. So when I widen that fork, I'll go deeper. I'll get into like that bolt hole there. It's in park right now, so I mean the gear selector up on the dash is in park. So now the transmission's in park, and that should show me exactly where I need to cut this cable. Man, that's ending up too perfect. Look at that. Dang. I'm not gonna mark that yet, but I almost can. Yeah. Yes. Man, I like when things work. So first things first, I know what I gotta do. Cut that, shave it there, cut it there, come back a little farther here, widen that a little bit. Golden pony boy. Man, it worked out. I am happy. Did everything just like I said I was going to. I got the little stub cut it, drilled it, tapped it. Couldn't not find what size this was. Okay, I'm not gonna get another turn out of it, so that's all she wrote there. Dang, sometimes it just seems like you plan stuff, you know? Man, I'm happy. Well, I guess I shouldn't count my eggs yet, right? Tell you what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna leave you down here and you tell me how it works. Or if it does work. Reverse. I don't know, it's kind of working hard. That's first gear. That's second. That's drive. That's overdrive. Here's neutral. Reverse. Oh, no, that was park. That's park. It doesn't like reverse. press reverse. Does not like reverse, park to reverse, and then reverse to neutral. Seems to do better with drive. Oh, that's probably just because I don't have it aligned right yet. It's not done, but close. So now I just gotta cut a piece of steel, make a plate. I got the handle bent, or this rod here. Got it bent upward instead of downward. It's hooked up to the transmission. It's all synced or adjusted to where park is park, and I put marks on the transmission without the linkage hooked up. Put marks all the way around, so I know that when this says it's in gear, it is actually in that gear and it's not off a little bit. They say that this A4LD transmission, one of the worst things you can do is misadjust or misalign the linkage, because if you're in overdrive and it's just a little bit turned one way or the other, it's not completely engaged in overdrive, it can burn up the transmission in a matter of a couple miles. So I spent about an hour coming up here, putting it in a different gear, going down there, checking my marks, and making sure everything was perfect. I can get all the way down to low, down to first gear, without hitting the doghouse. The only thing is, I can't bend it anymore. I must have narrowed this passageway, this pipe in the middle, because now this is sticking. See how that just did that? It doesn't pop out every time. So I'm either gonna have to hone, just kind of remove a little material off of that plastic rod that runs inside of here. I thought maybe it just needed lube, but that didn't do the trick. So I'm gonna have to shave that plastic rod down just a little bit to make it move more smoothly inside of here. I worked on it a little bit, but see, there it just popped up. It's close. I mean, it's not that far off. It's not that bound up. Do one more demonstration underneath here. Alright, keep an eye on my marks. So it's in park right now. There's reverse. There's neutral. There's overdrive. There's drive, third gear. Second gear. First gear. Second, third, fourth, neutral, reverse, park. How'd it look? Cutting that, this is that dash panel. Perfection. I got this done, or at least cut. I don't have a way to mount it yet. I think I'm gonna do some kind of push pins, and I want to do something where there's no screws showing on the face. But this actually fits better than what it looks like. See, when you push it in, it closes those gaps. Oop, went a little too far that time. That one. It's just holding itself in there, just with tension. Now I'm going to take it all back apart. Actually, I'm going to take a bunch of stuff apart. It's official now. I'm done with the transmission fab. So now it's time to pull the shifter, all the hardware that I made for it, the transmission cross member, and clean everything, paint it all, paint the bottom of the van, and then put it all back in. So this is kind of a momentous, this was a big deal today, getting this done. This was the end of everything.